What's up everybody, Afiq here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. How you guys doing? Now the car that's next to me is the Honda Civic FB, or also known as the 9th generation Honda Civic. While this particular Civic is not as popular or iconic as its sibling like the Civic FD or the Civic FC, underneath all of this, it still has a recipe to make this car both desirable and fun to drive. So without further ado, let's check out this particular Honda Civic, and this is ABB Automotive. So in terms of the Honda Civic FB design, I would say that this particular Civic design is more of an evolution compared to a revolution. So the Civic FB, in terms of its proportion and design, is actually quite similar to the previous car, the FD. It's just that with this particular 9th generation model, during this time, Honda experiment a lot with having a slim looking headlight and that is sharply drawn. So you can see this in their other product like the Honda Insight, Honda Odyssey, as well as the Honda City. Okay, so the front end of the Civic FB, I would say it's still a handsome looking car, very stylish. Okay, as I mentioned before, you have the sharply drawn headlight. This particular Civic is the 2.0S, so the Civic is available with 3 trim level back then, a 1.8S, 2 liter S, and a 2 liter S with navigation. So this particular car, being the 2 liter, it is equipped with a projector HID headlight, which is quite a nice feature. The grille that you see here is the pre-facelift car. This Civic FB does came with a facelift later on, okay, but the grille is slightly different. Towards the bottom, okay, this particular car is equipped with the modulo body kit, okay, as you can see with the rest of the car. But with the standard Civic, okay, previously when it was launched, it actually came with fog lights. So this particular car, the owner has changed the fog light to LED daytime running light, okay, to keep up with the modern looks. Okay, so the car has a very aerodynamic silhouette. As you can see, towards the top here, the glass is very big. It has a very big square shape. And I remember that with the FB and the model before it, the FD, this shape was super iconic. Not many sedan has this proportion. Okay, because of the rather large front windscreen, this particular Civic and the model before it has a very iconic wiper design. It has the twin like blade design. Okay, the one that's go left and right, not like the normal car. Okay, so overall, the front end of the Honda Civic FB, I still think it's quite stylish. It's quite handsome looking. And I think this car aged rather beautifully for its design. Underneath the engine bay of the 9th generation Honda Civic, so the Honda Civic back then is available with 2 engine choices, a 1.8 liter and a 2 liter. So the one in this particular car is the 2.0 liter, so it is 4-cylinder petrol engine, okay, iVTEC. And this particular engine produces 155 PS with 190 Newton meters of torque. Now, this power is sent to the front wheels via one transmission only, which is a 5-speed automatic. So that alone is quite rare, as back then a lot of automatics are 4-speed. Now, switching from FD to FB, this particular car, Honda made the change for the engine of this car, where the previous car is Dodge, okay, dual overhead camshaft, where this particular car is now SOD. Okay. So overall, the performance of this engine, it is quite class competitive back then. Up until today, with today's modern turbocharged engine, this engine is lacking in terms of horsepower and torque. But yeah, I would say this engine is quite reliable in the long run. So here at the side of the Honda Civic, so as I mentioned before, the Honda Civic FB for this particular generation is more of an evolution than revolution. The design actually is very similar to its previous model, the FD, just that with this particular generation, Honda has made everything sharper and slimmer. Okay, so as you can see, the side of this car is very aerodynamic, and if I'm not mistaken, Honda was using something called arrowhead or arrow spear design or something like this. Okay, but you can see that this design is evident on most of its model. Okay, this particular car, the 2 liter variant, you can tell by the bigger rim. So the smaller 1.8 liter variant has a 16-inch rim, while this particular one is 17-inch. The tire profile is 215, 45, 17, and the rim itself is having this machine finish look. So it looks quite shiny and looks quite premium. Okay, the side mirror is mounted on the lower window sill, okay, just like the previous model. And during this time, Honda did copy a lot of BMW design, which you can particularly see on this car at the C-pillar. Okay, this is the Hofmeister design, the king, you know, which you can see a lot on 5 series and 3 series. Okay, but overall it does look quite nice, you know, I'm not complaining, right? So yeah, and last thing to mention, this car, like I said, is equipped with a modular body kit. So here in the back of the Honda Civic FB, where the previous car, the Civic FB, features this circular tail lamp, the one on the FB here, the design is more simple and more mainstream. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this particular Civic is equipped with the modular body kit. So it applies to the back here as well. So you can see that huge body kit down below. Now the spoiler that you see here, it is not the modular package spoiler. If you get the modular spoiler, it is slightly bigger. It features a third brake light. Okay, this particular one is just a smaller ducktail. Okay, so because this is a Honda Civic, Practicality is somewhat generous. Okay, for this particular car, the boot space is around 497 liters. So back then, this is quite class competitive. Okay, unfortunately for this Civic, even with the Civic after this model, the FC, it does not come with foldable rear seat. So you are only left with this space. So it does reduce the practicality use of the Civic somewhat. Okay, and as you can see over here, the Civic features rather large gooseneck hinges. It is protected by plastic, so it looks quite good, but you do have to be careful when you cross the rear trunk. You might crush whatever item that is stored in your boot. The boot itself is a nice square shape, okay, no weird angle or shape, and the the opening is quite big, and you also have a spare tire underneath, right? So you can tell the Civic whether this is the 1.8 liter or the 2 liter based on this badge. So this one is the 2 liter IV Tech model. Okay, towards the bottom at the bumper area, quite simple. Okay, if not for the body kit, it is quite fair in design. Okay, you do have parking sensors. There's 4 of them, 2 in the middle and 2 at the side. So overall, the back end of the Honda Civic, I would say it is not offensive for this generation, and I think it's quite pleasing to the eye. So here inside the Honda Civic FB, this particular model being the 2 liter variant, it is equipped with most of the features. Okay, so in this particular car, the seat is leather and it's black in color. You get the 1.8, it features a beige two-tone interior. For this car, everything is black. Okay, now in terms of driving position, this has always been the Civic's trump card. It has a very spot-on driving position. Even with the FB variant, the model before it is quite nice. The steering is small, okay, it has a nice shape, okay, and in terms of adjustment, not really an issue. Okay, so you have tilt as well as telescopic. Okay, the steering itself houses some information buttons. Okay, you have cruise control and you also have pedal shifter to control the 5-speed automatic. Okay, you have a traditional handbrake, and towards the center console here, I would say it's quite practical. You do have a bit large storage area at the front here, and you do have this roller shutter that hides the cup holders. Okay, you do have a decent sized armrest. Okay, and I would say the right side as well, you do have soft touch material. In front of me, again, during that time, the Civic has this iconic interior design where it looks like a cockpit of a plane, and it's very driver focus oriented. This particular FB, the newer one, it is the evolution of the original. Okay, you do have that 2-tier display where the bottom one is the RPM and then the top one is your speed. And the top one, not gonna lie, it does look like a fighter jet. Okay, the number is large and huge, and because it's at the top, it sits right in my vision of view when I look forward. So I think this 2-tier design is very iconic, and I think it's very informative, and I wish modern cars would incorporate this design more. Okay, this is like only the Civic I see have this 2-tier design. The center stack, okay, this particular car is the 2-liter S, so it doesn't come with the navigation system. The radio itself, this plastic that is used surrounding the radio, I'm not a biggest fan of it. I think it looks too cheap and too plasticky. But not really an issue. If you get this car, you can swap it to a touchscreen unit. Don't care lah. Like the newer one, you do have the Android player now, so it does lift up the overall look of the car. I would say the dashboard is still quite modern. Okay, it has the angle, like I said, tilt more towards the driver. Okay, in terms of features, okay, for the 2-liter S, it does have power driver seat. Okay, but the 1.8 is just manual. Okay, in terms of safety, this car is equipped with ABS, vehicle stability assist, which is Honda's ESP system. And then for the 2-liter S, you have 4 airbags instead of 2. You get the 1.8 S, it only comes with dual airbag. Other features to note in this car, you do have front parking sensors. Okay, the power window is electronically folded. Okay, electric folded. Sorry, not electronically, electric folded. Okay. In terms of aircon, all Civic is equipped with single zone automatic climate control, which is a nice feature. Space is again quite good in this car. You don't really have a big what do you call this, door cut, and it is quite small. I don't think you can even fit a 500-liter bottle inside there. Okay, but not really a big issue lah. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the quality of the previous FB looks better than this one. But I would say this particular car has been more than 10 years, and this interior looks brand spanking new. There's no crack, there's no color, what they call fade, and kudos to this owner as well for keeping his car in such a stock and immaculate condition. Okay, I always appreciate that. Right, in front of me, back to the speedometer, on the left side you do have some information display that can show you the clock, okay, your fuel consumption and what your radio is playing, but it's basically just that. Putting this car into reverse, I don't see any backup camera, so I'm assuming that if you get the navigation system, it does come with the backup camera. Okay, so this particular shifter, it controls the 5-speed automatic. Pop it into S and you can play with the pedal shifter. Right, in front of me I do have blue illumination, which is quite nice, and I think back then it is quite futuristic. Right, so yeah, overall inside the Civic, I do feel like I'm in a special car, to be honest, because this dashboard is not ordinary at all. It looks really nice. There's a lot of thought put into the design. Okay, like I said, this is still just the evolution of the first Civic, the previous Civic, the FB. So here at the back of the Honda Civic FB, I would say back here, space is adequate. Okay, so this front seat is adjusted to my driving position. I am 167 centimeter of height. Okay, in terms of room, I do have quite decent amount of leg room, and headroom is also decent. And I'm surprised that if, despite this car's exterior design having the coupe or sloping roofline, my head is not touching the ceiling at all. Okay, even with my spiky hair is not brushing the headliner whatsoever. Okay, in terms of amenities, for a car that came out from 2012, it is quite decent. Okay, you do have dual mat pockets. Okay, and you have a center armrest. Okay, with 2 cup holders. Okay, so generally it is quite comfortable. Armrest on the outer board is also quite soft. You do have a little bit of a door cut here. I think back here you can put a 500 milliliter water bottle. It's not that big, but it's okay, right? You do have a fold down grab handle, and the headliner is slightly bright color of this gray color, so it does make the cabin less claustrophobic because everything else in the car is black in color. Okay, overall, sitting at the back here is comfortable. The slightly reclining seat is nice, and I do have enough thigh support so that on longer journeys my leg won't get tired. So overall, I think the Civic for this particular model still a nice place to sit in. Okay guys, so I've jumped into the driver's seat of the Honda Civic FB 2.0S. So what is it like to drive this car? Okay, so first things first, the one thing that I want to mention is that In terms of its power, this car is equipped with a 2-liter naturally aspirated IVTEC SOC, so single overhead cam. So the previous car, the FD, had a Dodge dual overhead camshaft. So this car, upon getting in, especially this engine paired with the 5-speed automatic, the combination, I would say the power is quite good. Okay, I particularly find that the low end torque of this car is quite responsive, right? It's only like when I reach around 3000 4000 rpm, I do feel like there is a slight dead spot in the power band, but from a standstill, like coming out from a traffic light or a roundabout, the power response is good and you have quite abundant of it actually. Okay, so this transmission, the 5-speed automatic, so Honda is one of the few manufacturers that decided to go with 5-speed rather than 4-speed back then. Okay, and I can actually say that this transmission, in terms of how it performs, is actually quite good. The response and the gear change is fast. Okay, so personally for me, I feel like this 5-speed perform better than some of the newer 6-speed transmission on the market. Okay, for example, this car, okay, when I'm driving like just a normal speed, and then I will reach a hill or an incline without needing to accelerate even more or send any input to the accelerator pedal, the gear change will actually change the gear for me instantly. Okay, without me needing to put in any response or input to the accelerator pedal, which is quite good, meaning the transmission can actually detect inclination and hill descent, right? Most 6-speed gearbox, some that I tried, they have tendency to have delayed gear shift. You know, like when you go up a hill, you actually have to step on the accelerator pedal, then the gear will change. For the Honda 5-speed, this is not the case. The gear change is immediate. Like any change on the road condition, the gearbox will respond. With that being said, even though it has a very responsive and fast shift, I feel like the shifting itself is not as smooth as modern 6-speed. So modern 6-speed has this tendency to be very buttery smooth, almost like slushy like that. But for this car, even in the sport mode, and I'm playing with a pedal shifter, the gear response is not that smooth. Okay, you can definitely feel the gear change, right? So it's not that smooth lah, but it's not to say like very jerky. It's not, just that compared to the modern 6-speed, this is not as smooth, right? So give or take lah, give and take. It has a very responsive change, but the change is not that smooth compared to a 6-speed. Okay. Now, in terms of this car's ride and handling, okay, the suspension setup. So Honda Civic has always been one of the most sportier sedan in this segment, okay, the C segment. So in that regards, this car, it comes with a 17-inch low-profile tires, and it has an independent all-around suspension. So I think this car, from my experience, is definitely tuned more on the sporty side. This stock suspension, even though it's stock, it's still on the firmer side. Okay, it's not to say like it's uncomfortable or very hard, like it will break your hip. No, but you can definitely feel potholes on the road. Okay, on the good side, because the suspension is more on the sportier side, this car grips very well. It handles very well. It will stick to the road. It has no problem not sticking to the road. It will stick. Okay, even in this standard setup. Now the steering wheel, I also like how this feels. Okay, the steering wheel is a slightly smaller size, so I do feel like in this car at a certain point, like because the steering wheel is small, I kind of feel like I'm driving a sports car. Okay, and then the feel is okay as well. I definitely know what the front wheels are doing. It's not numb, it's not like super light as well. There's some weight and feel to this steering wheel, which is quite good. Okay, in terms of its sitting position as well, I feel like this car's sitting position is spot on. You know, because the chair has a little bit of bolstering on the side, I do feel like I am securely positioned in the seat. Okay, if I do have like a spirited driving attention, I want to corner the bands real quick, the seat will hold me in place. And at the bottom cushion, I do have good thigh support, and that my leg does feel like it's been supported well. Okay. With that being said, I find that this car also can be quite a good car for cruising. Okay, the driver seat here, especially with this power seat, if you recline the back a bit, you know, and then with this sizable armrest and where it is located, I find this car to be a very relaxing car to cruise in. I can just like lay back, you know, take my time, and then it actually is very not say very, it is actually having a very comfortable sitting position, so that is quite good lah. Okay, on a last note, okay, I want to also mention this car on how the insulation is inside here. I feel like sound insulation is decent, not the worst, not the best, typical Honda. Okay, at higher speed I do feel tire roar, but that's not really a big issue. You can just change to a higher quality tire and that can solve the issue. I don't really hear any wind noise. I think it's due in part to the car having excellent aerodynamic profile. This car looks quite sleek. Okay, so it's not like a big brick that goes through the air. The aerodynamic is very nice on this car. In terms of what do you call visual as well, like looking out from the driver's seat, I have no visibility issue. The A pillar is relatively thin. Okay, the quarter window at the side here is big as well, so you have no problem looking out towards from inside the car. Okay, so what do I feel about the Honda Civic FB? I think it's a great proposition for second-hand buyers. You know, if you're looking for a car that's just, you know, just to have a car that can actually do it all, you know, carry your family, have spirited driving aspiration, but you want the car to be practical at the same time, I think the Honda Civic is quite a good value. Second hand for this model now is around 30 to 40,000, so it's a relatively bargain compared considering the things that you get: independent suspension, 2-liter engine, okay, Honda's proven reliability as well. Okay, and then to me on the outside, it still looks quite nice. It looks quite stylish, very aerodynamic, and I would say even though it's not as iconic as its brother, the FD and the FC, I still think this generation Civic is quite desirable. I think all the Civics are actually. So yeah, the Honda Civic FB, if you're looking for one of these, then I think it's a good proposition for a second-hand car.